What it do? It's me. It's that wrestling dude. It is Friday. We fucking made it through the week, and I'm joined here by the dirtiest man in the game, Dirty Devin Diaz. Man, welcome back. Welcome back.
Hey, how we doing, bro? Hey, what happened to the co-host, brother, Ginger Spice? What happened to him?
All right. So he was for a while now. He's been trying to like get me to fire him because he moved to Puerto Rico. So he's like halftime Puerto Rico, halftime here. And I guess he was just over it, I guess. And he kept telling me every day, I fucking hate doing this. I want to stop doing this. So I'm like, all right, man, fuck you. Get up out of here. You're fired, bro. Get up out of here.
You guys are still friends, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, he's a
He
cool
was
guy.
just he was just over it. Like he's retired. Like he got blown up in Afghanistan like years ago when he was fucking like 24, 23, and he's maybe like 2 years younger than me. So he's been retired this whole time. So he just moved to Puerto Rico and like he's like, man, I'd rather just get drunk and do nothing all day than fucking hop on here twice a week.
Nah,
Fuck you, Ginger Spice.
hey, Ginger Spice, I still love you, bro. That was my guy, bro. We were at the last showcase the Kyoto thing. I love that video. He has the Puerto Rican flag, and he's like,
Yeah.
"There, you dead."
Nah, he's a good time, man. He's a vibe, bro. But like I said, he's like full-time beach bum. That's why I was breaking his balls throughout the whole time because I'm like, dude, you don't do shit in Puerto Rico all day, but you fucking drink. And because he tells me like, oh, I'll just go, drink in the morning and then fall asleep on the beach, and I'll wake up when the tide hits my toes. And I'm like, really, like, bitch, you can't spare 2 hours a week on a nighttime, and all you do all day is drink, lay on the beach.
That's not a bad life at
Not at
all.
all, bro. Not at all. That's what I told him. I was like, bro, I'm jealous as fuck, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, dude, since the last time I had you on here, man, whirlwind for you, bro. You've been fucking all over the place doing all type of crazy shit, bro. Let's start off with Major League Wrestling, man. You were there. How was that experience?
Well, it's experience you can't trade, right? When you're my tenure in the business and someone gives you that opportunity, you cherish it, especially at that time, right? So years elapsed. So I was only 2.5 years in the business at that time. And I was welcome to be on the show, and they wanted to use me. And there's speculation and things said about the way I was used, but that's because that's how wrestlers are. And they
Yeah.
like to say negative things. I was as happy as could be just to walk through the curtain. Because when you're as good and as charismatic as I am, all you need is the entrance. I mean, you've been to one
Yeah.
of my shows, all you need is the entrance.
No, absolutely. I'm pissed at myself, man, because 2003, man, they're like when they had all those ECW guys on there, they used to be down the street at the nightclub here, and I had like no clue because this is like I'm about to age myself out. This is before the internet was really, really, really big, where everything is on there with social media and shit. And they just now looking back, like, damn, all these shows were here in Orlando, and I missed out on them because they had a hell of a roster back then. Where would you go? Where were they filming at? Was it here in Florida?
Yeah, they were in St. Petersburg. They were in the Coliseum on 4th
Okay.
Street. What's wild about that is I don't hide from anybody, right? I obviously an independent wrestler. I still keep a real job. My real job fits me very well as I work at a bar.
Okay.
And I was working at a bar. That's changed. Um, at the time, I was working at a sports bar up the street, and I was drinking more than anyone could imagine. Everyone in the business says, "Oh, I'm the best drinker." Everybody. It's like this bragging, right? When you're around
Yeah.
people, those guys at that time could not mess with me, and it was crazy because when I got the call, I was at work at the sports bar, and I had to ask to be off the floor. And I said, "Hey, you guys might not believe this, but this is a pretty important number. I need to pick it up." And
Yeah.
they said, "This is the opening day of baseball. You can't get off the floor." And
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, I guess I just got to use the restroom." And
Yeah.
so, so I went and picked up the call. "Hey, how are you? Hey, we want to bring you in. This is your payday, but can you be there?" I said, "Absolutely." Then I had to go to my boss, and I said, "Hey, I need tomorrow." The Rays did a triple header, and they played
Yeah.
3 games in a row. "Hey, I need to get off tomorrow." And he goes, "Second day of baseball." And I go, "Hey, I just got asked to get used on this show, and my boss didn't know anything about baseball. They thought I was a guy who, I think they thought I was a guy who hits people with light tubes and stayed with my work. Like they definitely thought I was insane. They could not fathom the fact, like, no, I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close to being there. And
Yeah.
so I had to pull up the Instagram and shove it in his face. He scrolled it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I can't say you can't go." But two
Nice.
things have changed since then, right? I don't work there anymore,
Okay.
and which is good because everybody and their mother wanted it as a wrestling venue, and so suddenly I became responsible for any wrestling show that came through there, and I had a responsibility in zero of them, as well as I don't drink anymore, and this is the first time I've ever said it publicly. I took the time to get sober.
Oh, no shit. Congratulations, man.
And when I say sober, I do not mean like necessarily zero alcohol. I mean I
Okay, so
don't I don't drink. I think since the new year, I think I can count that I've had 3 beers. But you have to understand for me, that is sober
yeah,
because there was a time where I'm not proud to admit it, but I'll tell the truth that I was drinking a lot and it was a part of the character and it was a part of my life. And I
yeah,
don't know if I'm proud. I don't know. I'm bored a lot. I'm like, man, I wish I could drink right now.
yeah.
But I've lost 10 pounds. I've
Nice.
um what else has happened positive, right, from that drinking process? I wake up on time. Um I get to call times relatively on time, opposed to I used to get there when the bell would ring and I would say, "Oh, well, I was busy," or but really I was
Yeah,
just it's I can admit it now because I'm over that hump.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm not telling anyone not to drink alcohol, right? I subscribe to a lifestyle and a mindset that you do whatever you want to do. I am not someone to tell you that you shouldn't drink. I am not someone to tell you that you should drink. I'm someone to tell you, hey, do whatever you want to do. And
yeah,
so I don't want to come off self righteous. I also don't want to come off like a liar. But it's the first time I've said anything about it publicly, and it's like, well,
yeah,
it feels weird because I'm pretty
yeah,
sure the last time we did one, which was probably around this time last year, right?
yeah. But almost a year going on almost.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was drunk.
Well,
So,
yeah. And not to get in your business because you can tell me to fuck off. But
yeah,
was it like
fuck off.
something that happened? Okay.
No, I'm
You're
not
like,
gonna
so was
go
something
there.
you woke up one day and like fuck this, or just
It was something where I had to like. I'm by no means like a inspirational piece to anybody,
yeah,
but it was something where I looked in the mirror and I said,
yeah,
"It's time to get moving from this environment."
yeah,
And even the character, sometimes because I know what fans like, and I have no problem saying the character versus the man. Some guys don't like it in wrestling. It is what it is. I don't have a problem with it. So there was a time where the man was saying, "Whoa, this really needs to get dialed back."
yeah,
Then there was times where like the brain would switch and I would think I'm the dirty man.
yeah,
And I'm not telling you that I don't fight that, right? I'm not
yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, I believe what I am selling, but the reason why essentially is because it was time to clean things up.
Got it.
It wasn't something I wanted to be around. And as I to keep piggybacking off another piggyback is that like even now sometimes I'll have alcohol in my promo. That will be a time that I might actually drink a Bud Light,
Yeah.
which I'm positive as much as I was drinking, Bud Light could have been a water. Like it's
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
the fact that I dialed back that much and I only do it when I'm cutting a promo is pretty good. Um,
No, but that's the thing is too is like you have like everyone I kind of talked to in the Florida scene, like kind of mention you. They all say like he's fucking awesome. So it's like if it was kind of like I don't want to say hindering, but if it was hindering you to that extent, and like you could do without and kind of skyrocket, like you said, you just lost 10 pounds, and obviously you're in low ass trunks, losing 10 pounds, you look even more fucking better than you did before, you know. So like, why not give this shit up? Fucking go balls deep into the wrestling, and you can always drink when you're like 65 and you got nothing else to do, all day.
yeah, I'm not a guy that's like I'll never drink again, right? Like post wrestling,
Yeah.
I'll be drinking again. I ain't gonna lie to
Yeah.
nobody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's a thing where it's like you said, I just lost the weight, and I was never like somebody who had to worry about showing up to your show drunk. I was never
Yeah.
somebody who had to worry about stepping into the ring with me drunk. But I was somebody where it was obvious that I had a Gatorade in the corner, and I was sitting like this,
No, yeah, 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 yeah.
waiting for my time to hit the curtain because I was,
Yeah.
wow, I'm like, geez, boys. And at one point, because you mature, right? I'm only 24 years old. You mature, and then you think, wow. Not that I ever care what anyone thinks. Well, oh, that's a bad look. I don't care what you think about me.
Yeah.
But I would just think like this is an unnecessary thing to overcome, right? So I already
Yeah.
have to get up, get to the car, get to the town, get to the ring, perform well. If I could do all that not hungover, I could probably do it better. And the crazy thing is,
Yeah.
bro, is I'm
Yeah.
so good, you probably couldn't even tell, bro.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's what I'm saying. Is like you're saying this. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, that's good though. Going back to the other question, when you get a shoot job, how far into it do you tell them, hey, I wrestle, by the way? Because that's
Right
not like
away.
that's like a normal thing to kind of tell somebody and let them in on it. Is it just you tell them up front, or is it when you get off, you kind of like let them know?
Right away, because I never hesitate to put myself over. So I'm like, I'm like, I'm the dirtiest man in professional wrestling. And they go, what? And I go, yeah, it's what I like to do. And they
Yeah.
say, like Hulk, they always say like the Hulk Hogan stuff. And I say, exactly like the Hulk Hogan stuff. You're talking to the next Hulk Hogan, like just to mess with them, or like the Ric Flair stuff. And I go, yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm basically as good as Ric Flair, just because I don't know, that's my sense of humor.
Yeah. No, and that's always wondered that too, because like, you come in one day and you're all beat up, beat the hell, you got a black eye or some shit. And, the manager's like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? What'd you do last night? So that's smart, man. Tell them up front.
Well, the best was coming in after I had got some color in a match. That was awesome.
I bet. I bet.
They were like, "What? I don't understand."
Yeah. And especially you're like, what were you, a server or a bartender?
Yeah, was a server, bartender,
This
both.
server. Yeah. So imagine you're seeing customers and you get what, a big ass bandage on your forehead.
Yeah, it was awesome. And honestly, I can't thank that. Literally, like I just stopped working there probably 3 days ago. I
Yeah.
couldn't thank that job enough for how understanding they were. And you're about to. Something tells me that you're about to ask about the WWE commercial I was in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So another story, because this job was a big reason as to why I was able to move forward in wrestling. Um, when I first got the call for that, I told them I need to give up my shift, and without hesitation, they told me give it up, and they said go, and it was pretty cool that they would do that, but also there was like this air like around the restaurant that people thought that I was getting ready to be famous. I still have a long
Yeah.
time to go, but it was just funny because I remember people that were kind of rude to me were suddenly like really nice, or maybe like suddenly girls became like kind of flirtatious on staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like,
You're about to
I'm
save
like,
them.
yeah. Well, I would just kind of like, I'd never enter. If you're whether you're rude or flirtatious, I'm so straight. Like, I'm A, oblivious. B, like I just never care. I have a bad habit of just not caring. So
Yeah.
I would just look at them and be like, oh yeah, it was cool, and walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. You glossed over it. How'd you get involved, and how was that call when you got that call when you got that notification?
They booked me because of my hair.
Really?
I swear to you, when I was there, the director came up to me and he said, we have ever since things were sent into us because they hired somebody to find independent talent. I got found in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever they said, hey, get a look at this guy's hair to the director, he fell in love with my hair. And I got my face on that little blimp because of my hair. I'm almost positive. And every time I do anything, someone goes, look at that hair. So
Yeah.
I've been tempted to cut it, but this thing's like my moneymaker right now.
Absolutely. Let me skip ahead. Who's got the better mullet, you or Jules Bradley?
Uh, Me for sure. Jules Bradley has like the mullet that you would have when you work at the Jiffy Lube. This is the this is the mullet you have when you're about to be on television. This
Yeah.
is the moment you have. This is the mullet you have when you become a big deal in sports entertainment.
Yeah.
And Jules might not like that. I like Jules. Hey, Jules got a cool song about the
He
mullet tip,
does. Yeah.
but I could never portray Leonard Skinner, and I'll use it as long as they let me.
Yeah, I know because I had steaks and Jules on, and or actually just it was just steaks at the time, and I brought
Mhm.
that up. He was like, Jules does the best mullet, and I'm like, yeah, top three in the biz, and automatically said no Devin Diaz. So I'm like, yo, he already knew in the forefront that you're already up there
So
with them.
so in wrestling, there's like this thing where it's big guy heat. So like if a guy's 6'8" and the other guy's 6'8", they automatically like don't like each other.
Yeah.
So me and Jules got a little bit of mullet heat. You
Okay. Okay.
know, like I'll see his mullet, and then under my breath, I'll be, like, yeah, yeah, right, not as good as mine.
Yeah, but they're different bullets though. His is bleach blonde. Yours is more like that Puerto Rican curliness going on.
Yeah, mine's superstar Jiffy Lube. Yeah, no, I really do. I really do like Jules. He's a freaking he's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
saw him at establishment. He's got like a Mr. Meese, Rick and Morty fighting stormtrooper tattoo on him. Like, bro, like what mushrooms are you eating when you got that tattoo?
so my thing, right, is that the wackier the guy in the professional wrestling business, the more I like him
Absolutely.
because like I said, right, I'm very open about how I feel about things, as opposed to where I don't care what anyone does, right? You live your life the best way you see fit, because who am I to tell anyone how to do anything?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, my biggest pet peeve is being told what I need to do,
Yeah.
which has made that for a hell of a time as a professional wrestler. But the point I'm trying to make is when you get these oddball guys, right? It's so fun being around them because they think very abstract. They do whatever they want. They don't care. Jules, he knows that the Jiffy Lube and Superstar thing was a joke, right? But
Yeah.
had I meant it, Jules would have been like, whatever. Like he
Yeah.
just doesn't care, you know? And so
Yeah.
that's the kind of guy I appreciate being around.
That's a real Florida boy for you.
Dude, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now you're also extra for TNA during Moose segment. How was that?
Man, when you say that yeah, I've been on record before. I had someone else interview me and they asked a question, and I don't know if the interviewer liked the question, right? Because I said, "Hey, there's a reason they're there." Because he kept saying, "Well, what's your opinion?" And I like the guy who did the interview, right? But that's his job to interview me.
Yeah.
And I told him, I mean, my reaction was kind of not polite. I said, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? How do I feel? Right? Like, there's a
Yeah.
reason they're there. They're the ones drawing money, right?"
Yeah.
Well, I was in the ring, and Moose is to this side of me, and Oba's on this side of me, right? And you can feel that the presence, almost as if it's like a heat, like as if you were to light a campfire. You
Yeah.
could feel it coming off, and that when I was in that moment, there was a crowd, right? And I had to be entranced in exactly what I'm doing, which I do with everything in wrestling, but you couldn't help but feel it. And it was
Yeah.
insane. It was insane because this isn't a slight to independent guys at all, right? But it's just how it is. Those guys have honed their skills because they're doing it at a higher level. Their skills are just going to be more honed than ours. Even
Yeah.
when I make it to television, which I will,
Yep.
there's still going to be something that I need to work on to present myself in that manner.
Yeah.
And when they, I mean, they nearly mastered it. I remember just thinking like, wow, that was nearly magnetic, you
Yeah.
know?
No, it's that thing you got to learn to be a superstar, man. That presence, that aura that you give off, man. Because those are some two big ass boys, but they also have like that star power. And that's what kind of
I've been told
separates
I got
everyone.
the
Is that
aura.
yeah,
I don't want to put anybody too much over. I've been told I got that aura. So
yeah, yeah. I see the crowds, man. When I go to the shows, man, they love the dirty man.
they do. Isn't it funny, right? So everything in wrestling is reality mixed, right? And a lot of it's based on what you find, what you're naturally inclined to as well. And I guess what I'm saying is that we're talking about aura and we're talking about like star power. It's funny how those things can come together when you look inside, because those guys weren't acting by any means, right?
Yeah,
So when you look inside and you put these pieces together, and then you think, I'll amplify this because this will entertain them, but I'll amplify this because this will hook them, and I'll tone this down because this part of me is really not that cool, you know. And then you think about your favorite character. I don't know if you ever seen one of like I don't know if you're ever a rave guy. I was not, but when you're
little period there. I was.
but you know those rave DJs are always messing around with the thing.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Turn
Doing one
this
of
up.
these and doing yep.
That's what it feels like constantly in wrestling. You're sliding this one up, you're taking this one down, you're turning this one up, you're turning this one down. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I don't know if those guys have to do that anymore. I think they just do it like
Just do it
naturally.
without even thinking about it.
I think so.
Yeah, because that's what always fascinated me about pro wrestling, man. Is like being able to go out there and like play with fucking people's emotions, man, and being able to take them on that roller coaster ride, and not just like have something planned out where like, all right, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this. It's all right, this ain't working. Let me fucking switch it up, and I know how to get them drawn back in, or I know how to get this emotion out of them, or I know how to get this emotion out of them. To me, that's fucking like artwork, man. That's a painter, dude. That's like someone doing art in the middle of the ring.
You're 100% correct, and that's the biggest thing I ever focused on from day one in training was to be able to bend people's emotions because I talk about it all the time. Shirt I wear now. I was a amateur shoot wrestler, whatever word you want to use. But what
Yeah,
really hooked me in the business was how, for instance, I was just on the phone the other day. I was calling my buddy in Georgia, and he was telling me, I'll give Tommy Mars a shout out. Tommy Mars, one half of I forgot his tag team's name, but he's my boy. He we were talking about Rey Mysterio turning,
hmm
and I'm sorry, when Batista turned on Rey Mysterio, like infamous Raw moment. I think you know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah, yep, yep,
Where I was talking about being 7 or 8ish and hating Batista
yeah.
so much that I think I wished him dead in my prayer. I said, God, if you could kill him, I'd be happy. And I'm not even kidding, I hated him.
Yeah,
And then I fell out the business, right? And I went back and I would then rewatch the things I watched as a kid, and then I just like I don't know,
yeah,
I don't even want to say the gears turned before the mind was blown. I was like, wow, this stuff is phenomenal. I mean, and not only that, it's like you get to a point, right? You're like 13. It happened for me when I was like 10, 11. You're like, oh, wrestling, I don't want to. Yeah, it's lame, you know. Then you get to an adult, and you're like, whoa, it's pretty cool. And so
yeah.
that's kind of what happened, right? And I completely understand what you're saying. And I'm a guy who goes off on tangents and I say whatever I think all the time. So reel me back in if there's any
Have at it.
time
I'm
I get
listening.
fired
I'm
up.
listening. I'm drawn in, bro. Have at it.
But you know,
You think that's like a learned thing, or is that you have to have that? Because you think anyone can learn how to play with people's emotions like that in the ring, or is it like second nature? Like the best of the best have a second nature.
um, I don't know because I can, again, I only think about me.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean that in a like very dialed in on where I'm going.
No,
And
no, but that's you're the guy I'm asking. So like, was it natural for you, like off rip, or was it something like you had to work at to get to understand that psychology of it?
so obviously psychology is something that you learn because somebody takes you under the wing and they say, I want to teach you this.
Yeah,
Right. But charisma is something that is natural. But
absolutely.
the thing about everything in wrestling is a mind game. Backstage, whatever you're dealing with,
Yeah, yeah,
everything's always like a card shuffle. And so I can't tell you what was natural and what wasn't because as I was racking my brain trying to figure it out, I was lucky enough to have that, and I don't even have it all figured out, but I've been lucky enough to have people tell me, "We'll do this, we'll do this instead, we'll do this." So I don't know what was natural and what wasn't because I, again, head down, ran it against the wall or ducked through whatever I need to duck through, and continuing to do that process. So I can't answer that. I can't answer that straightforwardly. Everyone would like to tell you they were a natural,
yeah,
right? Can I tell you that I was a natural when it came to chain wrestling? No brainer, right? I knew how
yeah,
to wrestle.
yeah,
I had I get put over for having a pretty sweet punch. My punch was terrible, so much that when people kept telling me, man, that punch sucks, I was so mad that I would go to training and I would keep working on my punch. And the best way to get me good, I'm about to give away, for anyone that hates me, I'm about to give away the secret. Just tell me I'm good at something and I'll stop working at it. Because the moment somebody tells me, man, that was bad, then almost like how Michael Jordan said, I took that personally. I,
yeah,
I begin to take it personally. And I love a lot of, honestly, there's this weird thing in wrestling where guys don't get along with this guy and this guy don't get along with this guy. I'm essentially over that as I grow up as a man, right? I'm
yeah,
essentially over like the spitefulness and
yep,
this, that, and the third. And it is a trap. It is a trap you can fall into. But there are guys who I don't know if they're saying it backhandingly or if they're saying it because they really or they're saying it because they really mean it. But there's been like just last week, someone told me, "Hey, maybe you don't travel enough." Well, I just got booked in Georgia Tuesday. I called
Yeah.
somebody, said, "Will you book me?" And they said, "Yeah, I'll book you."
Yeah.
Because I was like, "Man, no one's gonna tell me I don't travel enough,"
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going on. Jeez.
Now you're good. That's good, man. You able to swallow your pride like that and hit somebody up like, yo, book me, motherfucker.
I believe pride will get you nowhere. I mean,
Yeah.
the show goes on whether you're booked or not.
Yeah. How do you decide? Because like at the very beginning of your career, you're like, you'll take whatever, dude. Like whoever will take you in the middle of a field, in the middle of a farm, like whatever book can get in the ring, you'll do it. But as your career progresses and as you start getting more and more popular, how do you decide like who you're gonna work for and who you're not gonna work for? Is it like a conscious decision, or you still like, you know what I mean?
Well, let's see. How can I say this? I
Because
will
obviously you want
accept.
to, obviously you want to work for the biggest promotions, right? But at the same token, like you have that like loyalty of, all right, well, you gave me a break when I first broke in. I got to be loyal to you, but at the same time, is you can't be loyal to the guy that only draws 50 fans if you can go work for someone else that draws like 500. You know, like how do you navigate that whole thing?
A lot of people aren't going to like this, but I think how much fun I'm going to have. I know it sounds like, oh wow, what a loser, but I just
Yeah,
think like, like I just think like, wow, am I going to have fun?
yeah,
Like none of us are making the big bucks till we make the big bucks. I don't care what anyone
yeah,
tells. So what's that mean to me? Hey, go out there and have fun. And I
yeah,
do believe that's the only reason. All glory to God, I must say, but the only reason why I've been able to get to the places where I've been able to set up some traction, quote unquote. You hear that word a lot, traction, is because I always focused on having fun. Whether
yeah.
I'm having fun in the ring, or if I'm going to have fun with who's booked, or if it's going to just be a fun environment. I've had some terrible matches where I left the venue smiling because I just had fun.
Yeah.
So,
But that's what the fans when you go to a match, anyways. That's what you kind of want to see, anyways. Like you rather watch a guy that's out there having a fucking blast than some dudes that's like sold out all in. He's all robotic and shit. You know, just trying to put on a good show.
yeah, I think show first, wrestling second.
Yeah.
That's always been. I don't need
Sm-
to.
Smart man, because that's what it's all about now. It's all about the entertainment side of it, and like sometimes people lose focus on that, and they think it's all about the acrobatics and fucking putting the chain wrestling with this move and that move and this move, and like a lot of times it's the simple stupid shit, man, that can get you. Like a perfect example is Jey Uso, man. Like he's the character work, bro. He's blowing up because of the character work, because he's entertaining. He puts on the show, not so much that he can go out there and put on a quote unquote Meltzer 5-star rating, you know.
Yeah, which I do agree that he could probably do both. But
Yeah, he could definitely, but
the thing is that when you think about it, uh the Meltzer rating, those people are gonna watch wrestling no matter what.
yeah, for sure, for
But
sure.
I gauge a lot on my dad, and if my dad is somebody like if it pops my dad, then it'll pop a crowd because I could go out there and do a bunch of athletic stuff if I stretch, and and they could not care, right? But I
Yeah,
could go out there and flick my mullet, and
yeah,
they, whoa, we either
yeah,
hate okay. But also, there are times where, so I've been told, right? There are times where you want to bust some moves out, like quote. I don't mean dancing, but I mean like power drive this guy, roll him to his feet, and I ain't been there yet. Maybe that's a true statement. I don't know, but I keep everything 1980s basic.
yeah. No, but it's true because to me, my opinion is big boot, power bomb, and then the hair flick, and then like that's all you need, bro. And like that's an entertainment match. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to go tope suicide, or you don't need to go to fucking 450 flash, whatever. What are all those fucking moves? Like to me, Dirty Devin, dude, the flick, the big boot, the power bomb, and then the fucking, that's it. That's all. You leave the crowd happy with that shit.
I take that as a compliment. It kind of reminds me
Yeah.
of that Jim Cornette where he's mad at Kevin Nash and he's like, he had the five moves of death, and all I had the hair flick because he didn't do anything.
Yeah, but he was big though. Nash was huge in the fucking 90s, bro. Like he couldn't like put on a 5-star match, but who gives a fuck? Like a lot of people were watching wrestling to be entertained, bro. Like There's only small that to me that's what the issue with AEW. AEW is focused on those 5-star matches, but like that's a small percentage of the population of wrestling fans that are into that. The majority of us are all about yeeting and fucking yeah, LA Night, like the stupid catchphrases. Like that's what we're all about is the entertainment aspect of it.
Yeah, but at times, right, people, I just heard you with the AEW criticism. At
Yeah.
times, that's entertaining to me. So
No, for
it's,
sure, for sure.
and honestly, I don't know. I'm such a weird wrestling fan, right? That I can almost be pleased watching anything because I
Yeah,
just love wrestling so much. But I do understand what you're saying, right? The biggest advice that Bubba Ray Dudley said it, and he said it like I don't know. I think in like 2021, he's just continued to saying it. But he said like think about yourself like a band, hit your three big hits,
yeah,
and that's like how I always took it. Also, too, like I just know what attracted me as a kid, and
yeah,
I was thinking about stuff like that. I usually always think business before I think, when I'm putting together things, I think like what would quote unquote do business,
yeah,
and the fun happens out there, right? But
yeah.
so when I'm putting together a match, I think, do they want to see Dirty Devin do a 450 splash? And the real spoiler would be is that Dirty Devin cannot do a 450
Yeah.
splash. But
No one's looking for that one in a Dirty Devin match, anyways. They're looking to be entertained. But it's like Hogan and Cena, two of the biggest stars in the '80s and whatever. What did
right.
Hogan have? Big boot, fucking leg drop, and the fucking this, and then the Hulk up. John Cena, the same thing, shoulder block, fucking no can, like that's all, and like that, and they made millions off that shit. Like so, not everyone has to go out there and, like I said, quote unquote, Meltzer 5-star rating matches.
Right. But also, I'll tell you that some guys will say stuff like that. And I don't mean fans, right? I mean like guys in the back, they'll be like, I don't need a Meltzer match. And I say that, right? But then I go out there and I entertain people. But I've seen guys say I don't need a Meltzer match and then they do nothing at all.
Yeah, well, no, that's different though, of course.
Yeah, so it's like, and I'm not gonna name names because the truth is I already forgot them. But like I don't need a Meltzer match and I'm not going to be entertaining, then hey man, take a take a boost that way,
Yeah,
take a
yeah,
loss
yeah.
that way. Offer something, and I'm not a wrestling genius. I don't know it all, but I do know that as somebody who does enjoy wrestling, right? When you watch the Attitude Era,
Yeah.
and I shouldn't even say the Attitude Era, I should say the '90s. When you watch the '90s in general, right? Those shows were competing head to head,
Yep.
and when they were doing that, each show had something that, and you lived it, bro. So you could
Absolutely. I
tell.
did live it. I did live it.
Um, correct me if I'm wrong. Then each guy in each show and almost each quote unquote segment, match, promo, each guy was A, different. B, each
Yep.
guy brought something. So like maybe the guy couldn't talk that well, but since he couldn't talk that well, then he was like amazing in the ring.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
maybe the guy who quote unquote wasn't amazing in the ring, but man, you wanted to hand him the mic, or you wanted to see his entrance.
Yeah.
Like they all offered something, and that's to
Correct.
me what made wrestling at that time so special.
No, it's true because like you had, let's say, Gangrel and the Brood, like just that interest, like set that vibe, the spit of the thing. You had the Rock on the mic. You had Stone Cold, who Stone Cold after he broke his neck was just punch, punch, kick, stunner, like that. But he could get on the mic and draw those fans in. It's true, like that. Is you gotta have something. You gotta bring something to the table to be able to do that, to be able to be successful like that.
Yeah, a lot of people get on these podcasts, and I'm a big supporter of you. And a lot of people get on these podcasts, and suddenly they're a wrestling genius.
Yeah.
And and that's not a shot. What that is that we all are so really opinionated people,
Yeah.
and we're all outlandish people. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
But I I'm being what's the word I'm looking for? Cautious and conscious of not trying to come off like a wrestling genius. The point I'm trying to make is that I'm just giving like what I view, and
No,
what I
no,
see.
no. That's why I'm asking these questions because I'm interested in your viewpoint of the whole thing, your process, and your thought process of how you approach the business and stuff. Because I said, like the whole psychology aspect of it, of what you do in the ring, is so fascinating to me, man. Because like everyone's different, and everyone has to come at it from a different perspective. Because if not, everyone's gonna look the same.
Yeah, I focus big on not like everyone. Oh, you like you're in the 1980s. Well, who else looks like that?
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's what sets you apart. And again, I've been to shows, man, where like You walk in, no one's wearing a Dirty Man shirt. After your match, like 40 fucking, like half the people were wearing Dirty Man shirts after that. Running to the merch stand to buy your shit just because of that, man. Just because of the show you put on.
Hey, women 35 plus, like my money market.
You said 35 plus women.
Yeah, like
That's
it's like
awesome.
my big, and I love them. Come here, baby. But like, but women 35 plus, man, they're like, and there's a big fella in the business. His name's Kale Van Bruggen. He's gonna be big money one day, no doubt in my mind. Um, he was saying one time we were sitting there and we were talking about life in Canada versus life in the States and real life stuff. And then we started talking about wrestling, and he was telling me something that he liked, and I said, "Don't ever do that, right? Because you're gonna be a millionaire, so don't do something stupid." Like, he told me that he wanted to wrestle, and I was like, "Nah, maybe not. Let's just make you rich." And he was, but then like it segued as to what fans we attract, and I was saying that he's such an attraction, right? Which is why I said don't focus on wrestling, focus on being an attraction. Because
Yeah.
if I were his size, that would be what I would do. And he told me, man, you know something? I've noticed that like women 35 plus absolutely melt when you hit your entrance. And I was like, why do you think that? And he was like, because you look like the guy that was at the bar, like when they would get off work and they would hit the bar, like you look like that kind of guy. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I mean, but what's old is new
Yeah.
type deal.
Now you got to find yourself once you don't have to work no more.
I mean, I don't think I'll be this gimmick for it. What'd you say?
You got to find yourself one kind of support you while you go through the biz, bro.
Oh
You
yeah,
got to find
well.
yourself a rich one down there.
Anyway, I'm gonna segue back to business.
All right, let's see. Your last stint in TNA wasn't the first time because I had Aaron Nova on here, the captain himself, and he said you guys were extras on the TNA show, and you're the one that actually came up with whatever the fuck this is. And I asked him, like, is it like the horn or what is this with the marquee? And he kind of like, you could tell he kind of like made up some story to make it seem like he knew what the fuck because he was in the marquee. So like, I got to tell him something because I'm
The
doing
captain
this all
lied to
day.
you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think he lied to me, but like you could tell he's trying to like tell me what he thinks it is, and he's like, "Well, it's kind of this or kind of," and I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, I didn't really come up with it. Like the Dirty Man one day did that. So what the fuck is this with the marquee? Where did this come
Let me
from?
find my
What does it mean?"
glasses. So, if I could pull the curtain back any further, I also wear glasses,
Okay.
especially when I'm driving. But they had really harsh lighting in that venue, and
Yeah.
so I had glasses on, and I forgot something was happening, and I was telling some story about some hilarious in-ring conversation that I had with somebody that probably can't be repeated. And I said, my glasses were like this because I don't know, 'cause I'm an
Yeah.
old man. And when
Slip
I was
down, slip
talking,
down.
and when I was talking, I did this, but it was right at the punchline of my joke, and so they just better together thought it was hilarious. And when you're an extra, there's a lot of dead time. Hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
So this just became something we would do just to mess with each other throughout this quote unquote loop. And then like I see Starling's just doing it, and he added his own flavor to it. He gets like a bicep pose,
Yeah.
and it's like this great thing. And then I see Tyler Uriah, and Tyler's got those big biceps. That brother's
Yeah.
always in the gym. He's hitting it, and then I see Nova, and I'm like, wow. And I said, hey, with these shirts you sell, maybe I can get some commission. But
Yeah.
there's a joke because like I like thought the Marquee was a cool name. I
Yeah,
really did.
absolutely.
And so whenever they what's the word I'm looking for? Whenever they came together, right? I was like, man, I want to be in the Marquee, like where can I give my application? And they're like,
Yeah.
no, they're like, you're not welcomed. And so and so
Oh.
they're like, you're better off as a solo act. And I was like, whatever, whatever, losers, I don't care. But
Damn.
we were there's like the Freebirds, right? And me and
Yep.
Starling were really, really love old wrestling. And so Starling said I was like Jimmy Garvin for them. Uh,
Okay.
and it's funny because like I stole a lot of my entrance from Jimmy Garvin.
Okay.
So like, you know that is right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With dark curly hair and he had a baby doll. Was his manager at the one?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, the glitter gloves.
yeah. And I thought his entrance was hilarious when I first met him. He'd be like, and so I
He's
stole a lot from him. And
not a bad guy to steal
that's
from.
like our joke, right? Is that I'm like the gorgeous Jimmy over there.
All right, but that's that
But
damn. Like it makes way more sense now because I always wondered like, is it a fucking horn? Is it? But no, you should get 10% of the
I do it as a
royalties.
salute to them when I see them out of respect. Hey boys, how we doing? But
Yeah.
I'll never be as cool. I'll never be in the cool kids circle. You know?
Damn, you don't need them anyways.
Maybe
What
not.
was
I don't
your
know.
what was your inspiration? I don't know if do I call it gyrating? What do you call this? Is that gyrating or is it got another name? The Rick
What was my
Rude.
what was my
The Rick
inspiration?
Rude.
It was well,
Rick
I mean,
Rude?
hey, right? Obviously, well, I didn't like obviously Rude is the guy that like quote unquote, right? I stole it from, right? But
Yeah.
really I was I'm very impatient, right? So I was this character, I was Devin Decay, and I didn't know what the character was. And I
Yeah.
was tired of going out there and not selling merch, and I was tired of going out there and just reactions. So I said, I'll do whatever the hell it takes. So I was doing all kinds of random things in my matches because I never cared if I looked like an idiot. I didn't care.
Yeah.
So like, and then at the time I was a little overweight, right? So, and I still am now, but not as much. Over then I was like
You lost them 10 pounds, man.
but it was like really funny to watch me do it. And so I did it in training one time, and like people were just laughing, and I was like, all right, there's something.
Yeah.
And now how it became to where my character, because at first I was like trying to be something, right?
Yeah.
But like Val Venus was a guy that I thought was awesome. I of
Yep.
course thought Mick Rude was awesome. But I thought how funny would it be to be like a porn star from a trailer park, which was like the original thesis of the Dirty Man.
Yeah. Okay. He got hummed up. Let me take a little. He's gone. In the meantime, how's everyone doing tonight? I'm doing well, actually. You know, um, I don't know. He'll be back. Go catch a dirty man this weekend and come up with some his bookings coming up here pretty soon. He's gonna be all over the place. We're about to touch on it here in a minute. In the meantime, we're almost there, baby.
All right, what are we talking about?
Cam, I had a question for you too.
Oh, it was where did I get the hip
The
gyration?
gyration, the gyration. You know, it's funny because I watch you and Leroy Shogun, Mayhem on Mills, and you bust it out like in the best fucking times, bro. Like you maybe do it like 3 or 4 times during that match, and each time is not like, oh, he already did that. Like that wasn't even gone through my mind. It was, oh shit, that's fucking awesome. Oh shit, he did it again, but that's even better. Like you picked your spots, the best part to like do this shit, and then you're able to like lead Shogun into like putting himself over at the same time while you're putting yourself over. Is
Well,
that by
Shogun.
accident? You just know, or is that something that like I don't want to peek the curtain all the way back, but it's something that you kind of discussed beforehand?
No, all that's out there is like gauging. You're gauging the crowd.
Awesome, awesome. You got it, bro. You got it, then, bro. Because I was
Thank you.
watching that match and I'm like, you fucking like picked your spots perfectly. Like you're over him gyrating, he hits you in the gut and like takes over the offense. Like each spot was like perfect when you did it. It wasn't like overdone. It wasn't like, oh, he's doing it again. It was like, oh shit, look how awesome he's doing it again. But then Shogun was able to like feed off that shit.
Well, Shogun's really good.
Yeah.
Like there's no mistake in that. Um, what I was saying though was the original thesis of the Dirty Man was like a trailer park porn star, right?
Yeah,
Because I thought 3 years ago now that that was a good idea.
yeah. I mean, it is kind of a good idea, though. I mean,
I just thought it'd be funny to be like imagine
yeah,
if like Rick Rude was out of shape, you know? I just thought it'd be
yeah, yeah,
hilarious. And
yeah,
and that's not really what it evolved into, right? Then it like
yeah,
now there's guys who like now I talk about real life things, and like real trials and tribulations and things I've been through, and then like that's been something that I enjoy as it's almost therapeutic. But
yeah,
the original part was that, yeah, was like,
yeah,
hey, I'll just do this because it's. I mean, you live for the pop, brother.
yeah,
I couldn't do
absolutely.
a 450 splash, so I figured I would hip check
You
it.
don't need to do it though, bro. Like I had a homeboy, he used to be on the indie circuits like years ago, Afro boy, and his whole gimmick was he had an afro and he had like four moves. And he's like, I go out there and I watch these guys do, like you said, 450 splashes or soap to suicide to the outside and crack this skull on the concrete back then. And he's like, I just go out there with I shake my afro, I do a couple moves, and they love me more than these other guys. And that's what it's all about, man. Like reverting back to it's all about entertaining the crowd and be able to know how to entertain the crowd.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, no matter how it's done, no matter what you offer, just do your best to, make that obvious to the crowd. And then I
You
think that you're in a good spot.
Yeah. You had merch as Devin Decay?
I think I had like a shirt or something. I try to
What did that
put
shirt look like?
somewhere deep down on my Instagram. I mean,
But what did it look like? Was you said Devin Decay and it looked kind of like
it was like
zombie-ish or some shit?
it was like a skull that had like a worm
Going through it?
and like an owl because I'm a big Tim Burton fan, so I got a lot of
Okay.
like Tim Burton inspo. I'm very eclectic with the things I like.
Yeah.
And so like I was like it was like Tim Burton skull kind of deal, and I tried my best and it was not working. But bro, I got pushed out, I got fed to the wolves, figure it out.
No,
And I
that's good though.
still don't
That's
think
how everyone learns though, is sink or swim.
agreed. But also I don't like that's not me saying, well, look at me now. I'm
Yeah.
still I'm still swimming, I'm just able to like tread the water a little better. But
Yeah.
at that point I was in the deep end with the anchor on my foot. At
Yeah.
least that's how I felt. I don't know how everyone else perceived me. Again, it is what it is, right? But
No, but you have that thick skin to where you're not embarrassed easily. So you're able to overcome all that
I could say that that thing where,
now.
well, I could just say that where I just don't like, eh, I don't know. I wish I could put it in a better way, but I'm very about
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So like whenever I would do like stupid stuff in the ring and someone would be like, that looks stupid.
Fuck you,
Yeah.
bitch.
Not that wasn't even the thing. It was just like, okay, won't do that again. If
Yeah.
I valued the opinion, okay, won't do that again.
Yeah.
But if it worked and they said don't do it again, then I'd be like, yeah, I won't do it again. Then I'd do it
Yeah.
again.
Fuck them. You're a regular now for WWE Improving Ground, man. How'd you link up with them? Because like you're like in almost all the shows on every Monday night.
So Devin Decay worked for them,
Okay.
and they booked Devin Decay the way they should have booked Devin Decay on the bottom of the card. uh, they I've always had a good relationship with them, and I just have been going back, and I've been having so much fun being a part of the things that I'm a part of with them because they're fun to work with, and the people that I'm working with, Jonathan Hudson, I like working with
Mhm.
him. I like working with Stephen Frick. I think Brian Brock to me is the best professional wrestler in the state of Florida. That's not a shot at anyone who wants to get mad. It's the fact that that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Um, just Chungus and Scyther, they're always fun, and it's just I I'm like a broken record, right? Fun, fun, fun. But
Yeah.
I told you earlier that like fun's a big deal to me.
No, but that's so like Michael Caine, the actor. He said he picks roles based on where they're filming because he doesn't want to go like some shitty spot. He wants to go to a good ass spot and have some fun.
I mean, come on, right? Like guys will always try to knock somebody for their thought process, right? Like, oh, you should do. I'm sure he was told you should do this movie. I don't wanna.
Yeah.
That
I don't
should
want
be
to.
an acceptable response for everything. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I'd rather go to Hawaii than fucking Montana. I don't blame him.
I mean, yeah, like come on. I'd rather pick Montana, but I get the thought process.
You're
I'm
part of
not a beach guy, man.
no, you're not.
No,
Kind of
I mean
reeking of
like,
you. You're a mountain guy then.
well, my like dad was born in Vieques,
Okay.
but what it is like I am jealous of that your boy Ginger Spice. Shout out Ginger Spice. I am jealous that he gets to sit on the beach and get hammered all day. I'm not
All
lying.
day. That's all he does. That's all he does.
But
And he's trying to buy a bodega down there on the beach. So he's like helping the guy out in the bodega or he's getting drunk on the beach. And then he posts videos of like, oh, look, another boat came from DR and all these guys are running through the fucking down the road
I
to try
follow
to.
him, but it's always
Yeah.
him and his wife, and he looks as happy as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. For
So
sure. For
like,
sure.
so like, I can't knock anything. So I
No,
don't want to say.
he's living his best life, man.
So like earlier, right? I said, okay, I'm jealous of him living on the beach, but I'm more just jealous of getting to do whatever you want to do.
Whatever the fuck you want, I know.
I think that if I think I would live. I don't live in a trailer anymore. Things are looking up, but but like, I think that I would go back to a trailer if I had written that I could do whatever I wanted.
Whatever the
And
fuck you want, I know.
yeah, like if that was something like, hey, you're retired from the wrestling business now, you made all this money. Uh, okay, cool. I'll buy this trailer and do whatever I want. If I want to play video
Lucky,
games, I don't even play video games, but if I want to play video games, I'll play them. Yeah, I'll do
lucky
them.
you, because my wife is bougie as fuck, bro. So the hustle's never gonna stop.
Hey man, you made your bed lying it.
Yeah.
Where's she from?
Uh, what happened?
Where's she from?
She's fucking white as can be. She's born and raised here in Florida.
What part?
Orlando. Born and raised in Orlando.
Oh wow, yeah.
Not
Well,
many of them.
no, every time someone tells me they're from Orlando, I say it's not a city someone's actually from.
Yeah, I know, never, dude. I know two people. I know my homeboy Paul. Shout out on Paul Wall. Go follow him on Instagram. And my wife. The only two people I ever known that born and raised in Orlando. Actually, little Maddie. Little Maddie. Shout out to little Maddie. Three people. Everyone else been in Florida. The transplants.
I don't know because I fight with this mental fight. Am I a Florida transplant or am I not? Because I was born in Tampa, moved to Indiana, moved back. So I'm like,
Nah, you can rep Florida. You can rep Florida.
I do rep it, but I also rep
Yeah.
Indiana. And then people are
Yeah.
like, people make it seem like it's like a set tripping thing, and I'm like, bro, get out of here. Like, I'll do whatever I want. Like, yeah, like I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
I
what do
rep
you mean?
Florida. Like I moved down here in '96, man, and I'm what is it now? 25. That's enough, man. 30, almost 30 years. That's enough time. I'll rep Florida all day.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't. Where'd you move from? New York?
Nah, I was born. My dad was in the military, so I was born in Germany, Kentucky, Germany, Georgia down here.
Okay, not what I guess. I wouldn't have guessed that. You seem like a New York man.
Nah,
But
I'm a German guy.
but when it comes to did you might want to cut that? Did you?
Yeah, I know. I pulled the Musk. My bad. That was a Musk. I love.
That's insane, God. That's I
I'm
can't
sorry. I'm
believe.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But wow.
That's only because
Bro,
everyone does that to me. When I tell them I'm born in Germany, they always hit me with that.
bro, I stay so clear of any of that stuff. I don't even engage.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. All right. WWN, you're part of the Emerald Empire led by Simon Says. How'd you link up with them, man? The Dirty Man never seemed to me like he needed a stable to join.
Um, well, they were the highest bidder, right? That's why I'm there. That's
Oh,
why
okay.
that's why I love
Okay.
when Trevin Adams. That's why I love whenever Trevin Adams and Ron Nemi they do a great job at putting over the character. I love when they do that stuff because Trevin talks about Dirty Devin Diaz as if he's physically repulsed.
Yeah.
Like he cannot stand like, oh my god, I hate him. Oh my god, oh my god. And then like Ron will always put over like the little tidbits, and he has this like great like. He sounds like he's from Canada, but he's from the Mid. He's from Michigan, but he's from the part that like borders Canada.
Yeah.
And the stuff he says is so funny when he does it. He'll be like, Robinson High School standout. This kid's got a rocket. His voice is just awesome, and like he just
That Wisconsin.
yeah, he's but the point I'm trying to make is like they were the highest bidder. They do a good job of putting that story over. WWN's doing a good job. I'm blessed to be a part of CCW. Man, I don't have a lot to complain about. I
No,
don't
you,
know how
you
often guys come here and complain, but I don't have a lot.
no, not at all, man. You're killing it though. You're killing it. WN Super Show. Emerald Empire took on Rich Swan, Sideshow, and August Artois. How'd that go?
I enjoyed that match. I had a lot of fun in that match. The three guys on the other side of the ring and the two that I was teamed with, all professional, all very good, all fun. We all did our best. I know that, you're not supposed to rip the curtain back. I mean, it's happening. There's nothing we can do about it. Um, they, um, like I said, everyone was professional, everyone was fun. On top of that, right, everybody did their best to make everybody look good, and the
Yeah,
fans left happy. And when that happens, you feel proud to have been a part of it.
yeah. That's all you can ask for too. Fans go home happy. That's what you're there for. I didn't get down there too for that OCC Roadhouse. It was like a vibe down there.
I mean, I think it's cool, especially when I was drinking. I thought it was the coolest venue in the world. Um,
It'll still be cool for you in a
yeah,
different
well,
way.
I like bikes and biker culture and all that stuff. When I say like out, like so, I always had the same thought processes, right? Like I keep reverting back to. But then I read Matthew McConaughey's book, and he like talked about like outlaw logic, right? And I like resonated with this book a lot. Something about a motorcycle just seems so outlaw. And I kind of sort of grew up around bikes as my grandmother remarried a guy that was super into Harleys. So I kind of like always liked them. But when I'm there, I'm always like looking over at the bikes and stuff. Also,
Yeah.
I'm a hard guy to keep my attention. So guys will be calling the match, and I'll be looking at a bike or doing something else. I just have a hard time like focusing.
Yeah. That's our generation, man. ADHD generation.
I don't know, man. I was like that before any of it became a thing that people spoke about. Before there's a lot of awareness to it. I remember being the kid in football. My dad used to yell at me, and he'd be like, "You don't pay attention to your coaches." And I remember thinking, "Oh, sorry about that." I remember thinking like, I'm kind of I'm paying attention as much as I can. I've had the same personality my whole life. Well, I'm paying attention as much as I can. I mean, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
but but the more I look back, he might have been onto something. I might have been able to do something better in sports had I paid attention, and I
Yeah,
did
fuck
good.
it. Well, you're good now though, so it all led to this moment. So fuck that.
Absolutely.
Let's go into your bookings. Tomorrow you have the showcase of Citrus in Claremont. Local Pro Wrestling's versus Mayhem. Stepping in the ring against Jaden Jed. You gotta have some kind of history with him, man, because it seems like that guy's a vet of local pro, right?
I don't know anything about Jaden Jet's history. I know it sounds so disrespectful.
You have no history with him at all, because like he seems like
I've
he's a staple
I've
there.
wrestled him. I've wrestled him before. I know he's working there. We had a fun match when we wrestled. Um, he was good. There was nothing to complain about. But he's my goal tomorrow is the same goal as always, right? Go out there and put on the best show. He's
Yeah.
super athletic, right? Like I think it's funny when people say, "Oh man, like you're athletic for a quote unquote big guy." I don't have an athletic bone in my damn body. I mean, like, and even playing sports growing up, I was always like my high school coach used to tell me you're the worst state placer I ever coached. And I would be like, wow, then you're the worst regional champ I ever coached. Now I look back sometimes because it's all recorded and I'm like, man, wow, he wasn't kidding. I was just good at winning, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
I talk about that in promos a lot. Like, like I focus on the win.
Yeah.
Focus on the things you can focus on, and those promos is why I like to get realistic. Playing football, I didn't run a fast 40 as fast as I would have liked to. I was faster than other big kids, but that means nothing at the high school level. I wasn't like a guy that was going to go play at Clemson, but I played so mean that I could compete with guys who went on to play SEC football, ACC football, Power 5 football, because I played with like this ruthlessness and everything's tying back. Whenever we do WWN, I enjoy that role because I have that true competitive nature where I want to rip another person's head off. I really do have that inside me. And when I'm able to do that, obviously pro wrestling is what it is. But like when I'm able to show the crowd that I am willing to choke the life out of Sideshow to win, or am I willing to batter him over the head to win, or I'm willing to knock the other two opponents off to completely isolate him, and I'm able to convey that emotion, the word I used earlier, and I'll use it again, is like therapeutic. And I enjoy working there, and I keep going to this subject and that subject, but I think you understand what I'm getting at.
I'm following the whole thing, bro. You're good. You're good. Let's see. Sunday, you're in Pooler, Georgia for Moto Lucha Libre Southern Slam. You know what you're doing there?
Not no idea. I
It
just know
doesn't
I'm on
matter
my.
though, right?
Well, it doesn't matter because, like I said, when you have the confidence I have, right, in myself, I'll know that I'll do well. I believe that I can put on an entertaining match with anybody. Um, I just am excited to travel so I can tell everybody, look, I did it. I remember I went to Indiana and some people were like, oh, you finally went somewhere. And I'm like, you guys are idiots.
Fuck them assholes.
I'm like, you
You
guys are
going?
idiots because like I got booked because I grew up here, like
Yeah, and fuck them. You're about to go to Pooler, Georgia, bro. Like that's like peak fucking wrestling town.
yeah, I'm I just think who knows where I'll be next, Jeez,
Yeah,
I might be in Augusta, Georgia next, I might be in
yeah,
Montana, then Hawaii. I might go see my boy Ginger Spice. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I just know that I'm doing it.
yeah. You can't
One
hit on
thing
that, bro. You're doing more than anyone else is.
I don't want to say that, because again, you're probably like Diaz, Jesus, I booked you for this and you're like the most boring guy to talk to. I don't know. I don't know what other people are doing because I'm not paying attention. If I
Fuck
see
them.
it,
It's all about you.
if I see them pop up, I'm always congratulatory, genuinely congratulatory. If somebody does something good, I do mean it. Hey, great job. Good job you got on this. Good job you got on that. Because my time will come wherever I want to be. I'm not here to stand in nobody way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one to sit here and start preaching to nobody, but the Lord is in control. There's nothing that I can do. And so, hey, live and let live. Do what I got to do. I've noticed this weird trend in wrestling. I'll never critique one guy, I'll critique the culture. I've
There you
noticed
go.
this weird trend where people know what other people are doing. Brother, I couldn't tell you what's I couldn't unless I see it or you are like a personal friend that I would sit down and talk to. I have no idea what you're up to.
Yeah. There's too much going on, anyways. You got time to be all up in everybody else's business, anyways.
No, listen.
Yeah. This Monday, March 24th, you're back at the OC Roadhouse in Clearwater, WA Improving Ground. You're in the ring with Richport Ayala, guy, seasoned in the biz, right?
Seasoned, great. We always put on hard hitting matches. He's a guy who wants the physicality. I love Terry Funk. I love Terry Gordy. There's not a lot of Terrys I don't like. I worked with the Terry Kid. He's pretty good. But I love that style of wrestling. And he is willing to go out there and put on that kind of match. And those are my favorite matches. Uh, Brian Brock, again, is a guy that I work with. And you don't have a choice when you're in there. That's the only
Yeah.
match you're going to have. And who's going to stop Brian Brock? Like, I know how to legitimately wrestle. When I wrestled Brian Brock as a babyface, I thought, obviously, everything was within the realm of professional wrestling. But the character, Dirty Devin Diaz, had convinced the man, Devin, that this guy could really kick your ass because I was in there and I was scared of him and I was selling away from him and I was pushing him away and I was get the hell away from me because he just kept coming at you and he does like these clubs and I was just like, dude, holy hell. Anyway, Ayala, I'm the bad guy when I wrestle Ayala and I do my best Terry Funk impression and I just stay on top of him
There you
and
go.
we have so much fun.
March 29th, you're in Orlando. Chioda Masterclass Night Showcase. You're in the main event against the smooth operator Mike Gallagher. I got a feeling you're gonna give him a masterclass in wrestling.
Yeah, well, another thing about Mike, right, is that Mike deemed me as a talent the moment he met me. So this is almost I hate to use this word, but this is almost sentimental
Yeah,
because I was booked in CCW and it's not a shot at anyone. It's when you're the new guy in any territory, you're going to be a little outcasted. And Mike took the time to speak to me and we bonded on how much we love 80s professional wrestling and then it turned to like 70s professional wrestling and then it just became this thing that it's about the only thing we talk about and
mm,
but he's just funny to be around in the locker room and I can't wait to work with him. He was trained by Johnny Rods
okay.
and I'm like a weirdo historian with a lot of this stuff and Johnny Rods is like he was like a kind of a guy that worked the openers in Madison Square Garden.
Mhm.
Kind of worked his way up the card, but he was phenomenal and can have a match with anybody. And he's got some of the business's best quotes. And Mike always shares those quotes with me, and it's going to be fun. I know that you're supposed to like. Well, it's up to the viewer or it's up to the person being interviewed how you're supposed to promote it. I decided to completely throw out the just do like a quote unquote shoot interview, but nonetheless, it's going to be a good one. You know, I'll cut the Dirty Devin Diaz promo in a minute.
Later on when you get close to it.
Right, but it's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
good.
yeah. All right. And that's where we met you too. I might have to go roll out there for full circle. April
Come to the
6th.
showcase.
I knew it. I need to come there. March 29th. I'm coming. I'm coming. April 6th, you're in Orlando for Mayhem on Mills. You're in the Slap and Meat Big Boy tournament. Some tough guys, man. Ruthless Machine, Rob Drake, and that dude, John Davis, man. You ready for that?
Torres is a part of that too, right?
Nah, Torres, I had him on last night. He had to pull out for work commitments.
Uh, um, no, I'm just kidding. I love Eddie.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
give me 1 second to get water.
you're, you're good. You're good.
Hey, you always edit this stuff down, right?
I would lie, but you're good. The dirty man's thirsty. Don't you dare judge him for being thirsty. He's got to wet that beautiful beak.
I don't know who the other guy's going to be, but I do know that Ruthless Rob Drake is his name. He's been working at
Mhm.
Proving Ground as well.
Yep.
He's
And John
really
Davis.
right. Those two are both really good. If John Davis thinks I'm about to go chop for chop with this guy, I'm not. That guy's got a brutal chop. But I'm excited to work with them because, like I said, I mentioned all the Terrys I enjoy. Um, I'm be able to have that style match, where
Yep.
everything's aggressive and everything's, just letting loose. And that Mayhem on Mills crowd is appreciative of wrestling. And that's what makes it special working there is that they're appreciative of comedy wrestling, which as long as it's funny, I can like comedy wrestling.
Yeah.
Um, they're appreciative of comedy wrestling, they're appreciative of technical wrestling, they're appreciative of high
Everything.
spots. Yeah. And the point I'm trying to make is that we are bringing something that that crowd is just probably getting familiar with because there's a reason why they're promoting it the way it is that the big guys are going to be hitting each other, correct?
Yeah.
And it's I hope you make it out because I'm really excited.
No, I'm coming out that one for sure. You gotta make sure to wear your t-shirt too. That way you don't get chopped too hard on the chest.
Nah, I'm not shying away from nothing.
You ain't no
Uh,
bitch.
I have a carpet.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let's see. May 10th, Coastal Championship Wrestling, Havoc and Hayes in Tampa. May it's gonna be a hot one there. Like I was in a show. I think me and Ginger went to a show May, June.
So
Florida weather.
again, being like the big weird wrestling historian I am, everyone always talks about how hot like the ECW arena would get in the summer.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I remember that show you guys were there,
yeah.
and I remember sweating out a lot of Jack Daniels that night, and not feeling well, but not
Yeah.
like, but just
And
sitting.
hey, and I would have never noticed because you put on a hell of a show.
I appreciate that. It feels better for me to feel better
Yeah.
and put on the show, but
Duh.
uh, the point I'm trying to make though is that so when that building to me is giving me that kind of vibe of how people describe the ECW arena, the storied ECW arena, but it very well could be. We don't know what we're doing. You never know when
Yeah.
you're on the brink of history. You're just going as you go.
Yeah.
Um, but as for like how to promote it, right? I'm tagged up with my coach Chris Silvio, and that's not a. There's two men that I really call coach. I call David Mercury coach, and I call Chris Silvio coach. And to be in there with Silvio, they gave me the moment with David Mercury earlier in the year. Then to be in there with Chris Silvio, um, it means a lot because he helped make the Dirty Man character. He helped me to almost like the word I keep using, be comfortable with the therapeutic things,
Yeah.
move more reality based promos, which people seem to like. Um, and he's just helped a lot. And he's somebody I call for real advice, and he's somebody I call about nearly anything. So he's just a good guy to be around, and I'm excited to share the ring with him. And however, whatever happens, happens. I don't know.
Put on a show. That's all you're there for.
Right? Like we keep
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, absolutely. All right,
You should.
before I let you go
I
ahead.
was gonna say you should probably plug. So the fourth month that would be April. You should probably plug. Oh wait, is April the fourth or fifth month?
The fifth month is no April's fourth month.
Wait, we did May 10th. I think we're ahead because April, May. So see, I
I
never
got
know.
I got April 6th, Mayhem, May 10th, CCW. What do you got between that?
Well, there's another. I think April. I was saying May 12th earlier. I think
It's April
April.
12th.
I think so. Is
Let
that a
me see.
Saturday?
Let me see. Google. It's probably a Friday. April 10th. Gotta love the internet.
Yeah, I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah, there's April 10th, 12th show. Let's see. What is that? April 12th.
Havoc and Hayes.
Another Havoc and Hayes. There you go. Is that what
Right.
you do? That's where you're teaming up
That's
with the
the one
boy?
I meant to promote prior.
There you go. There you go.
But you should also plug Live Pro Wrestling, which is April 26th. That
You're on
should
that
be.
show too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna be tag teaming with Coach Chris Silvio. So
That's
we own
in
a video.
is that in Seminole, right?
Yeah,
Is it
man, that's a
Seminole?
fun venue. And a lot of good people are booked. I can go through the roster, but I would just encourage people to look at the card. There's a
Yeah.
lot of good people booked, and it's going to be fun. So that's
Yeah.
a show. Ron Nemi's a guy who helped me get on that show, and I have much respect for him. There's not a lot of guys I dislike, and he's a guy that I really, really, really like. And
Yeah.
that sounded weird, but he's a guy that I enjoy speaking to, and I'm lucky to have him guiding me and helping me out. And that show is always fun. The last time I was there, just because I quit drinking doesn't mean that my friends did. And the last time they were there, they do like dollar Michelob's
Okay.
drafts, and they were slamming. I mean, it was an unreal number because they're a buck. They're a buck for a
Yeah.
draft.
Yeah.
They were like obliterated by the time I got out the curtain, and it was so funny because they like I did the bit wherever I roll out the ring and ask for a cigarette, and I was smoking it while the guy was while the who was doing their entrance. At that time, I wrestled Scoot Andrews,
Okay.
also not only a Florida legend but a true independent legend, Scoot Andrews.
Yeah.
I was working with him, and just seeing my boys drunk and having a good time made it so much more fun. My family comes, and then that's where I met the guy I work for now, right? So I do
Yeah.
F45 training now, and that's where I met that guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy who thought it'd be a good idea for his fitness, right? He only knew me as Dirty Devin. He's the guy who thought it'd be a good idea for his business promotes fitness. It's F45. He saw a guy smoking a cigarette and thought, "Man, I should hire that guy as a trainer." That blows my mind. But it's his business. I'm thankful for the job. There's nothing I can do about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Right back.
Gotcha.
Come in the other door.
Have you heard that? I just had to switch. That chair was hurting my back. Are you have you heard that dog barking all the time?
No, not at all.
There's been like a dog barking this whole time.
You're I got no dogs here. Um,
Yeah, my
Before
side, yeah.
nah, you good. I ain't hear no dogs. Before I let you go, got some names for you here. Say what you want, talk some shit, put them over. What do you want to do, man? King Eddie Valentine.
I said once in a promo, or I said once in an interview again, and like this has not been. You've been talking to the man, Devin. Um, I said it once, and I'll say it again. You're lucky to be my tenure in the business and share the ring with Eddie Valentine, because he's respectful enough to hear your ideas and then almost massage him to the point. He's a guy who you learned psychology from. Eddie's been around. He started, and he was like a big deal back when CZW was Blood and Guts. Eddie's that tough that he was doing Blood and Guts matches. And on top of that, though, he just took the time to really learn. He was trained by the Wild Samoans, and like you see how weird I am that I know these little facts. Well, it's because I asked people. But you're lucky to be my tenure in the business, share the ring with him. Eddie at the Bash at the Brew show, which is CCW's lead show for now. We're working on it. Tampa's going to pass him up. Uh, Eddie has a promo where he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, do not be afraid to feast your eyes," and the whole
Mhm.
crowd says it with him. And I
Yeah,
reference the ECW arena. It feels like I'm watching like ECW is a thing where it's like that guy's not supposed to be a star, but he is. I'm
yeah,
watching Eddie Valentine, big barrel chested. Eddie, I love you. Big beard gut, you know,
yep,
narrow in
yep,
the hip, narrow in the ass, wide in the shoulder, you know,
yep.
and he gets over, and it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And Eddie is he's phenomenal.
We had him on and like cool ass guy, and Ginger says he's the only guy that he would let pick him up and like carry him like a baby. It's fucking Eddie Valentine.
Absolutely.
All
Who's
right,
next?
Casey Vi.
Casey Vibe right now is one of the most. Yeah, I've been trying to remember it. So it's VAI.
Uh,
What it is that he's so nerdy and snooty when he does that. It's like, wow, I really hate that guy.
yeah,
Um, Casey's somebody who I enjoy. He does a really good job at commentary whenever he's on it. The only thing I can say about Casey is that the Dirty Devin Diaz was never about bad hygiene. If there's anything I'm worried about is I am a hygienical person that I would be uncomfortable even when people are on commentary like, oh, he doesn't shower. No,
oh,
like not only does the character bathe, I bathe. Like I'm not comfortable with that.
oh, is that what Casey said on commentary? You don't bathe, you don't want deodorant.
Yeah, like just I forgot
Oh.
what it was, and I was just like, I don't really like that Casey, but like he did this thing where he was at a brewery and he walked in and it was like, wow, you guys are all enjoying your beers. And then he did like a really bad Stone Cold impression. And then he
Yeah,
did like you need the Vi method. It's addicting to
yeah,
do. You need
it
the
is.
Vi method. It was it was phenomenal. And I became a fan from then. And then like usually if he does something and I'm able to get eyes on it and it does make me laugh or it does entertain me, I'll comment because he's somebody that needs to be told he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, dude. I saw him first time establishment, like March of last year. And as soon as
Mhm.
I saw him come out with a headset and he walked in the room talking shit with the headset on, I'm like, yo, this dude is fucking money with the turtleneck. I'm like, he's
Yeah,
got it
what he
down back,
wears.
man. Yeah.
What he wears, I
You
think
hate
now.
him. As soon as you see him, you're like, fuck this guy.
Not only that, you're like you kind of start to think like, well, as a wrestler myself, you start to think, well, how does this guy, right, wrestle in that? Because I get hot and I'm basically wearing draws. He's
Yeah.
out there in a sweater and he's out there in like some funny looking shoes and
He's got
he,
Chuck Taylors on. That's what I asked him. Like, you wear Chuck Taylors in the ring, which is absurd because there's no fucking support in that. You
I was
basically
so
walking on
big
your
on
feet.
that Wiz Khalifa, like when Wiz Khalifa, I thought Wiz Khalifa was the coolest guy when I was a kid. And obviously, your mom couldn't be happier to hear. I just want Chucks, right? Because what are they,
Yeah.
$40? And
Yeah.
so I had like every pair of Chucks, and I used to try to play.
You can't play basketball in those things because they're the fucking worst thing to play basketball in. That's what my dad used to. back in the days, back in the 70s, he used to run. He used to run in Chuck Taylors, and he said that's why his feet are all fucked up from the Chuck Taylors. No, we were talking about that. It's Friday night. Hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Here with the dirty man himself, dirty Devin Diaz. Catch him all over Florida, man. Dude's fucking doing his thing, killing it. And he disappeared, but he'll be back soon enough. In the meantime, how's everybody doing? We are in the comments.
Hello.
You're good. Back at it. And he's gone again. And it's just me. It's me. It's that wrestling dude. Thank you for everyone for showing love, tuning in all the time, commenting, liking, subscribing, following, all the good stuff. I really appreciate it. Makes it all worthwhile. And whenever I look at here, it's I'm gonna tuck it in the wrong ear. He's coming. Mania is coming out, bro, next month. Everybody gonna watch Mr. Yeet win it all. It's gonna be amazing. All these fucking haters out here talking about he shouldn't be in the position he should be in. Everyone that says that's obviously never been to a WWE live event recently because dude's fucking over, bro. The whole crowd just goes nuts for him all day, every day. Hey, Dirty Man, back at it again.
What are we live on? I'm wondering if people can see.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Wow, look at that. That's awesome. How many viewers we got?
I don't know. I'm still a rookie to the game. I don't even know how to look that up. I'm all focused about you, man. I ain't looking at over here anywhere else. Let's see. All right, let's see. Mr. Real and Raw, August 12.
I mean, what can you say, right? A real world champion. There's no other way to put it. He's bringing that belt everywhere. And
Everywhere.
He's doing what he can do. There's nothing you can do about it.
Can't hit on that.
Respect to him.
Absolutely. What about the captain, Aaron Nova?
Nova's a nerd. Nah, I'm just kidding. I like the captain. I mean, is Nova a nerd? Yeah. But
yeah.
Do I
fuck him too? He wouldn't let you in. You came up with it and he still wouldn't let you.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was about. No, actually, man, when I first started, I think Aaron Nova did like this dodgeball match or something. I forgot what it was. But he's always been an entertainer. And
yeah,
there was a time where I wrestled I forgot what's his name. He's a scientist. How can I forget his name? He booked me. He's gonna unbook me.
You talking about the alchemist or you talking about the handsome man of science?
Handsome man. He booked me. He's gonna be like, wow, you're unbooked.
The handsome man of science?
Yeah, I wrestled
okay.
him. And Nova was my manager, and I had a lot of fun. And Nova reminds me of Heenan, but he takes like, and I told you last time that Heenan's like one of the best.
Yeah,
Heenan is the best. He like almost tops Bobby Heenan. Not, and no one will ever be better than Bobby, but I mean with how much he like acts, like
yeah. He reminds me of like and no knock because I love it, but like late Nitro, early TNA, like outrageous, off the wall, like ridiculous shit that you can't help but fucking be entertained by.
I think if you told him that, he would love that.
Yeah, because I'd love like Vince Russo, late fucking Nitro, early TNA, like so ridiculous, so absurd, and I fucking love that shit.
He would love that because I know he's like really in on like obscure wrestling facts, so he'd probably be. But just working with them was super fun. And there's a clip where he does the hip swivel and I knock him off the apron.
Okay.
And probably nothing's made me laugh that hard in my career because
where was that at?
It was when I wrestled the Handsome Man of Science.
Okay.
The bump he took was hilarious.
And I watched him at a Generation Championship Wrestling. He just climbing on the rope before the match and just like about to fall off the rope, just fucking hilarious. What about TJ Brady?
What can I say about TJ Brady? I wish he would fill that singlet out more. No, I'm just kidding. But what's going out? What's happening? Really, really, what's happening with TJ is that he's so good on the mic that, and I mean that, right? When TJ sits with his legs crossed, one time he did that, but also when TJ just talks on the mic, I have such a fun time listening to him. I watched him do something the other day where he did like an arm wringer. He slammed the guy down, and then like a hard arm wringer down, and he really cranked on the hammer lock. And that's something that I do in my own arsenal. And then he also, I think he took like a flip bump. So you go up to the top, they punch you in the stomach, you take the flip bump. He
Yeah,
did that. I love taking that bump. What I see with TJ right now is TJ's growing at an exponential rate, and he's doing a really good job at learning. And he's got
yeah,
people, and he's not somebody that I'm, he's not somebody if you say something to him that he's gonna get angry.
yeah.
He's usually a pretty good sport, and I know
He's a
that.
fuck. He's a
Good.
heat seeker, man.
Yeah, well, he's got a natural talent. And then
Yeah,
another thing too is that one thing that people don't, I don't know if he spoke about this, so I don't know if I want to say it. But TJ has real life experience that I don't have. So TJ is a young man grizzled by life.
yeah,
And when I talk to him, I am talking to a real person who is really fighting to get done what they want to get done. And
yeah,
that's what I appreciate because this isn't a knock on anybody, but mommy and daddy aren't funding anything.
yeah. No, but
Yeah.
you could tell like just like I don't even know what you're like specifics what you're talking about, but you can tell because all the other, let's say, quote unquote, boys and girls, they buy into him on social media and they hype him up in being a dick. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had Sticks on and Sticks into this elaborate story how TJ parks in handicap spots. Like they help him buy into, like, you know what I mean? Most people don't like go out of their way to kind of put people over, let's say, quote unquote. But everyone kind of does with him. You can kind of tell like he has that everyone likes him, like let's say behind the scenes, let's say, but enough to where they help him out that way. You know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying that everybody's trying to help his cause. Well,
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
and most people aren't like that. Most people are like fuck this guy, but like you say, like you have so much respect for him just because of who he is as an actual person that you're willing to. Most people are willing to go the extra mile for him.
Yeah, I mean, and if you were to, I know you did an interview with him, but
Yeah,
like I said, he's been grizzled by the game of life, which is much harder than the game of wrestling.
yeah, for
And
sure.
he's uh he's just a good guy to talk to, and I have faith that soon enough that he will find something that really makes us all go, wow.
Yeah, yeah, he's got it, man. Jake St. Patrick.
He's one of my favorite opponents, but that's because I can walk up to Jake and I can go, "Hey, I'll see you out there," and Jake
Yeah,
doesn't bounce an eye. Jake doesn't get mad or say, oh, but we have to talk about all the cool moves I have to do. Jake
yeah,
will go out there, and then Jake's talented enough to run multiple gimmicks.
yes, and they're
And
all different. They all talk different. They all act different. They all the move sets are different. The way they move in the ring are different, which is fucking wild.
I don't think, well, for me, right, from the wrestler's perspective, right now, with how honed in I am on what I'm doing and getting the character across that I'm getting across, I don't know if I'd be able to split my brain to be able to
No,
do both of those. And
yeah, three ways.
the fact that he's at Devon school teaching the business, there is no issue with that because there was a time 2 weeks ago that I had Jake sit and watch my match. And sometimes you ask somebody to watch your match and then everyone's a busy guy. So they say, "Hey, I saw this part and this part and it was good." But Jake sat there and he really broke down the match. Well, that means a lot that he's willing to sit there and watch the match. You
Yeah,
wouldn't understand unless you're back there. So that means that he had just completely came down from his own match and then took the time to watch mine, and that's a class act.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout out Jason Patrick. What about the King of Florida, Daniel Starlin?
Starling's one of my favorite guys out of the ring for sure. But if we're talking in the ring, I mean, come on, the work speaks for itself. Um, I don't mean to be sparse when I speak about him, but he's very to the point as to what he is as a performer, right? Daniel Starling is a professional wrestler. It's not the
Yeah,
fact that he's a professional wrestler with an ego complex or a professional wrestler with this. He just simply believes that he is the king. And that's the best part about watching him perform is that he believes that he is the king. And that's my
Oh,
favorite part about him.
I was watching a match with him at Mayhem, and he did some shit that I never even seen before, and I was like, "Holy shit! I never seen someone do that before." And still, after all these years, still be able to do something like that is he's fun to watch, man. He's old to me. It's like old school. I don't mean say old school in derogatory sense, but he's like an old school, like pure ass fucking wrestler, and he lives it outside because after the matches, he goes out to the bars.
Yeah, well, him and I have done some bar trips. He's the thing that the thing that I appreciate now is that he was a guy that's played quote unquote did so many different gimmicks, and so at one point he did like this androgynous rock star, which was my favorite gimmick of his, but that's because that's the kind of wrestling I like. Everything was
Yeah,
over the top and amplified. And then at one point he was like just like a strict wrestler with not really much of a gimmick at all. And then when he became the king, it was almost as if all the things that he was using from the rock star and all the things that he was using from what he really is, the wrestler, and then he meshed it all in this one crown that came over his head. And then it was just like, wow, if I booked a show, there's not a name that you've asked me about as we're doing this that if I booked a show, they wouldn't be in the rotation. Because I do believe there's a lot of slander. I get it. I get what people do. But I do believe that whether we're traveling or we're here in Florida, is that we are the best independent talent. That's something I mean because everyone's dying to come here. So what's
yeah,
them? Our guys are good. We're
yeah,
doing
for
it.
sure. And I gotta go check out my him as the rock star, man. I want to see that. It's gotta be
Yeah,
some. That's gotta be some entertaining that shit.
it would be grind time wrestling. There was a match where he was him, Noah Vale, who's also one of my favorite wrestlers on the independents. So it was him, Noah Vale, and it was Fabu when Fabu was really deep into the monarch of manliness.
Yeah,
And they did something, I forgot what title they were fighting for, but it was like this punk rock kind of show. It was called Grind Time. And it was probably one of my favorite matches. I mean, they did a lot in that match because both those guys, all three of those guys really like to wrestle. But there wasn't a single thing that wasn't entertaining in that match. And I was there with a Dennis Rodman jersey on. I was with Benji Neptune. I was 2 weeks into training and I was introducing myself and everybody was looking at me like, who is this guy? And then
yeah,
at first I thought, well, what's their problem? I'm here being polite. And now I'm around and this guy will come up and he'll be like breaking down the ring and then they'll shake my hand and it's never a thing where I'm rude, but there is like an eyebrow raise because you're like, is this guy a fan? Is
yeah.
this guy like the promoter's nephew? Like you don't know who you're talking to. Anyway, who's next? I like this game.
All right, Leroy Shogun.
So what I like about Leroy Shogun work the most is I like how in his promo how he always says he beat 3 men in one night. And the reason why I like that so much is because if he beat 3 men in one night, what's it mean to wrestle Dirty Devin Diaz?
There you go.
What's it mean to wrestle August Artois? What's it mean to wrestle John Davis? He already kicked three guys' asses in one night. And so what it does, it's very deliberate to the fans. They know what kind of guy is walking in the ring. And that's probably the most fun the most fun thing about viewing quote unquote as a fan or critical eye. Being in the ring with him is always fun because you said it earlier, right? And you weren't incorrect. If I hip swivel at the right time, then he knows the right time when to fight back.
Yeah,
And it was so funny because when we did that Mayhem on Mills match, I was so incredibly tired. And I never, ever, ever have a problem with getting tired in the ring, ever. But that night, it felt like my heart was going to beat through my chest. I had already quit drinking. Maybe I was vaping too much. I don't know what the deal was. But I was almost gasping for air like 4 minutes into the match.
yeah,
And there was a point where I said, Shogun, it's probably time to wrap it up. And he never said okay, so I didn't know if we were doing that or not. So a lot of that match that you were talking about earlier and that you quote unquote put over, we're not out there with anything pre-contrived because this whole time he's thinking that we're about to get to the point to where he wins. And, and he's just good enough to read it. But it's funny because Shogun could have got mad and said, "Hey Diaz, why don't you get on the treadmill, fat ass?" But he didn't. He didn't. He just said, "Hey, thank you for the match and
Yeah,
fun match."
yeah. Good dude then. Good dude then. What about El Papi Chulo?
Man, Poppy's promos pop me. Poppy's one of the funniest guys outside the ring, and it's not because he's a comedian by any means.
Yeah,
He's just funny to be around because Poppy believes that in and out the ring, Poppy believes that he is the most attractive man alive.
yeah.
And so it's so
He's living it. He's living it.
it's so funny. Like I'll be like, Poppy, are you trying to are you hitting on me right now? Like I don't understand what's going on. Like we were at a show and he was like, Devin, are you going to drink? And I was like, I mean, I don't know, but I don't know what's going on right now. For some reason, like I'm like I was like I was like, bro, this is but the thing is that he's like that all the time. So when he goes out there and he cuts on the quote unquote gimmick, it's like, whoa, it totally makes sense that that's the gimmick he's playing, and he's this. I think he says he's the sexiest man alive or something like that.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because if you're around Poppy for more than 2 minutes, you'll understand that he believes that he is that. And he's also when I first met him, he was a guy that like when you worked with him, he was kind of standoffish, so you kind of get the wrong vibe, especially when you're just as new as he was. You get
Yeah.
the wrong vibe, so you don't know what's going on. And then when you like said you get to know him, and then you realize that hey, he's just as confident as he portrays in the ring, and I don't mind that as long as you are authentically who you are. I don't have a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. I had him on, man. The guy's a fucking riot.
Oh, absolutely, bro.
He was laughing the whole time. What about did we talk about Eddie Torres, the authority?
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about how he called out a mayhem on Mills, what's that about? I guess he had to work. I wonder who the big man is that they'll replace him with. Um, if you have anything negative to say about Eddie Torres, I'll assume that you're the problem.
Yeah.
If you have anything negative to say about Eddie Torres's work, I'll assume that you don't know professional wrestling. Eddie is on top of his game, and I think he's 85 years old or something like that. And Eddie is on top of his game, and he's that. I mean, I don't know. So I sometimes I try to read his Facebook post, but
Yeah.
then I mean, he writes like a whole. I mean, it's like Act One, Act Two, Act Three. So I'll skim him, but usually through my skimming, I go, yeah, he's right. Then I skim some more. Yeah, he's right there. Yeah, he's right. And then I'll put a smart ass comment underneath. But like I said, if you have anything negative to say about Eddie Torres' work, then I'll assume you don't know professional wrestling. And if you have anything negative to say about Eddie Torres, the man, then I would assume that you're the problem.
Yeah. I agree with that. What about Salazar de la Muerte?
Salazar de la Muerte is a believable Puerto Rican street fighter. There's a lot of them that run this gimmick, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of them that, and I say them as if I'm not Puerto Rican. There's a lot of
Yeah.
us, right, that run that gimmick, right? And I am the most non-stereotypical Puerto Rican of all time. B, I didn't want to be a tough guy, but when you're in there with him, he is that tough as he has a high threshold for pain. I've seen Salazar take like chairs and all kind of things that I would say no way. You know,
Yeah.
I've seen him do that. But on top of that, Salazar's a good man. I will always say that Salazar's a good man. He's a good man to know, and I've spent holidays with him and stuff. He's a great guy. And when it comes to his wrestling, I enjoy watching him wrestle. And I don't mean this as a slight to Carlos, but I enjoy Salazar, the what's the word I'm looking for? The solo act,
Yeah.
opposed to him with Carlos. But I'm not always a tag team guy as is.
Yeah. That's why I had Eddie Torres on last night and we talked about Salazar. And that's kind of the same thing I said is that he comes across like a badass and he like for legit, like you don't want to fuck with him for real, for real.
There was a
And that's a
time where,
testament, like you said, because everyone tries to act like a badass, but he really comes across like you ain't trying to really fuck with this dude.
well, even in his promos, if I had the ability to cut a promo like that, then that's probably the promo style I would go with. But there's something about the promo. There was one time that Jay Lethal, he did this thing where he was doing like a wrestler's workshop, right? And when he cut the promo, he almost like dropped his voice probably 2 octaves. But when he
Yeah.
cut the promo and how he held the stance, I could be very sporadic when I talk, whenever I'm cutting my promo, and he just held like this quote unquote power stance and delivered the lines, and they were very deliberate, and it felt as almost if he was like a boxer, how boxers wait in the pocket and deliver jabs and hooks. When he was cutting this promo, I remember it clear as day, and even Connor from the Ascension said it was a good promo. I remember a lot of people said it was a good promo. And that's one thing I'll put him over for all the time is that Salazar cuts a great promo, and that Salazar is, the best thing you could be in wrestling, no matter what you are, is believable. And you believe that he is that badass character.
Yeah. Who's who do you think is your badass pick for female wrestler? Like I'm gonna toss up between Lexi Gomez or La Bravo as a 1 and 2 baddest bitches in Florida right now. Baddest female. Sorry.
Dead tie.
Yeah, same. Toss up on any given night.
I mean, JC Love plays like the pretty girl, right? That's always a fun gimmick.
Yeah,
Always, obviously, her and our relationships open. Everyone knows her and I date. So that's not what she's trying to get across to the crowd.
yeah,
But I used to train with LaBrava, and not that I ever thought that LaBrava wasn't talented, but I remember watching her grow, and that was something that I enjoyed to watch because LaBrava worked her time at Death Proof Dojo. LaBrava worked endlessly, and she's the toughest. I mean, not that girls aren't tough. That's not what I'm saying,
yeah,
but she's one of the toughest girls I've been around because she would be like, "Oh, yeah, Saturday I took a staple gun to the head," and I
yeah,
would be like, I wouldn't have got out of bed till next Saturday, and she'll be like, "Oh, Saturday I was in there with this girl." And she dropped me on my neck just because it was a problem, and now my neck hurts. And she'd be going through the practice like this with staples in her head, and I would think, I wouldn't even do it. Like if I'm in the car too long, I think I'm probably not bumping tonight. And she was
yeah,
always tough, and every bit of success that she has earned, no
yeah.
doubt.
I saw her in IWA Florida and did like 8 crazy ass spots in one match that I wouldn't even like want to do. Like I stubbed my toe and I'm like, fucking the stuff she was doing. I was like, oh my god, like what are you doing, girl?
She once was in there with she was in there with Genocide, I believe, and I wasn't booked that show, but at the time, Genocide was working at the Death Proof Dojo, and so it was a match that we were all excited to see, right? And La Brava did something where she had her like I think it was like a neck crank. I don't know. And I don't remember if La Brava licked Jenna's face or if she just stuck her tongue out. But if you were to just eliminate the wrestling ring, eliminate Genocide, eliminate the bodies of them, and you were just to zoom in on the eyes alone, you would be hooked because
Yeah.
within those eyes, she's the nicest person outside the ring, but when she's there, with those eyes alone will hook you because you can't fake that kind of crazy. And
No, no, not at all.
when I tell you that she is crazy like that, where I'm almost positive that if she had took a baseball bat to the rib and broke every single rib on her right side, she'd still work that night.
Yeah,
She's insanely, insanely, insanely tough.
yeah. I've seen those eyes in the match. I'm like, holy shit.
You can't fake the eyes, bro. It's one thing you'll like. It's one thing you notice you can't fake. Like the eyes tell the story more than anything.
Yeah. All right, before I let you go, man, last question for you. What's one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you first started?
Uh, I don't know. That's a hard one.
I've heard like patience. I heard one dude told me I shouldn't have took every fucking booking because that took a toll on me body wise down the road. All the stupid ass bookings I took for no reason.
Um, I don't look. Well, the thing is, I don't look at anything like a mistake. I only look at learning experiences. So I'm trying to really think what I would have learned. I wish I would have had a better understanding of the culture,
Okay.
and that I wish I would have understood what people said when they say respect the business, because there's things you look back and you think you should have done a better job as a younger wrestler, and I'm still young, right?
Yeah.
But you think you wish, but you can't teach that. That's all learning on the fly. But if I had had the preconceived idea of what it means to respect the business and what people really mean. It doesn't mean don't break kayfabe. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. Unless you're in the business, that's the only thing you know. That's the only way you can relate to what I'm speaking about. That's what I wish I would have understood. I wish I would have had a firm grasp on what people mean when they say respect the business.
All right.
And hey, don't forget to follow me on Instagram.
There you go. There you
At
go.
Dirty Devin Diaz. I'm Devin Diaz on Facebook. On X, I'm Dirty Devin Diaz. And the last thing I want to say is that I am thankful for the people I share the ring with. I am thankful for the promoters that give me the opportunity. And wrestling has been such a fun time, and all I wish to continue is to have fun.
Devin, appreciate you coming on, man. Especially after that very first one, we have no fucking clue what I was doing, but you still roll with me anyways, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, if you're there with me, brother, I'll be there with you. That's simple.
Absolutely. My love for Devin Diaz, man. Even got rocking it out, man. Go check him out. Thank you everyone for coming on, man. Everyone have a good night, man.
Yes, sir.